But the music was
WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
going to come in here for a minute. Good morning, my fellow book lovers. And today's going to be a really interesting show for many reasons. We're going to be talking about book fairs. If you've never been to a book fair, if you've never promoted a book fair, that's an antiquarian book fair. By the end of today, if you take notes, you're going to know exactly what to do. And since this show has a theme song and it's called Who Wrote the Book of Love, I'm going to tell you I got a theme song of my own for today's show. And the lyrics go something like this. Take me out to the book fair, rare books, fine bindings, and paperbacks. Wear short shoes so you don't hurt your back. Okay, that was pretty bad, but what can I say? It's clever. Um, so before we start talking about book fairs, and if anybody has questions, we got an open mic show today. Take out something to write with, take out something to write on, copy down or call a number, and look me in the eye. After that, you will use it. 305, I'm sorry, woo, 888-575-4394. That's 888-575-4394. If you're listening to the show on replay, which is this afternoon from 4 to 6, tomorrow from 8 to 10 and 3 to 5, and Monday from 1 to 3 a.m. Those are our replay times. And if you want to communicate with us off air, you can reach me at 305-868-5515. That's a landline. We love to hear from you. A couple of auction notes this week. I don't know if you guys pay attention to the top 25 lots at auction, but if you did, you're going to have the same feelings that I did this week. What the hell happened in the auction world? The highest item sold was 33,500 for an American Revolutionary War letter signed by George Washington. And the lowest one was $5,748 for an incunable. Gotta tell you, it's not very thrilling. And everybody knows it's almost a source of friendly humor. My lack of computer skills. Yes, I still cut and paste with scissors and glue and all those other jokes. But I used Chat GP for the first time the other day to do some research. Friend of mine showed me how to use it. Actually, Fran from Barron Estate Sales showed me how to use it when it was Google or whatever it was, about 2 years ago. I used it and I am floored and awed. Okay. Number one, and if you knew, I'm not, a lot of people are laughing right now. Welcome to the new world, Steve. Yeah, I know. But, it's me. I do this hopefully gracefully. If there's anything graceful about stupidity, it's my computer knowledge. Um, you know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot. I think there's more people like me than we might realize that, haven't really fully adjusted to computers or, they're new and, whatever it might be. Let me tell you what I learned about Chat GP as far as being useful. Okay. It's phenomenally useful. You take a picture of something, whatever it is, and obviously it goes out and finds everything that's ever been said about this thing online and Chat GPT and the descriptions. I mean, I know I've been told, I'm not saying no, but I've been told I write pretty good cataloging descriptions, short, sweet, and to the point. If I got to get into the thick of it and do the collation, yeah, I'd have to use a reference book at this point to do it. But You know, basic cataloging description I'm pretty good at. They are phenomenal. I mean, it was just amazing the information that came up. It was accurate. They noted things that I was surprised they noted. I guess, the analytics and what they've been teaching chat to do in AI is just amazing. The price structure, okay, I still use that as a guide, not the final word, but they had some interesting variables that you didn't even ask for, and it just paints a beautiful picture. By comparison, I'm doing a research, let's say I'm doing a paid appraisal on, a collection of books. I go into Via Libre, I go into Adderall, I go into Rare Book Hub, I go here, I go there. Sometimes you don't always find it, that kind of thing. But with this, it brings you everything. You don't have to back pay. I used to say the best reason to use Adderall is because it's an amalgamate site and you don't have to back page all the time to go here, to go there. Everything's in it. But this is just amazing. So if you are kind of like me and you are computer slow, and I'll admit I had a degree of reluctance to it. You really need to check this out. It's amazing. It will be a benefit in billing hours, for appraisers and everybody else that's using it. Just fun stuff. So if you're exploring it, I'd love to hear what you're doing with it. Okay, book fairs. They are, as we have said, and when I say book fairs, I'm using the word antiquarian book fairs. Of all of all the experiences that one can have in the learning process of the wonderful world of rare books, going to an antiquarian book fair, we've always said it, there's nothing better. I mean, you can go to cabs and all the other, courses that are given. You can go to, a seminar that I do, which covers the ABCs, and all of that of how to identify and sell collectible books. But going to a book fair is the superlative experience. I'm going to talk about book fairs from the promoter's standpoint, from the exhibitor's standpoint, from the patron's standpoint. But before I do that, I want to say we are exhibiting at the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. I'm sorry. We are exhibiting at the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair March 7th and 8th this year. And now, if we had a drum roll, I would have a drum roll playing, and I would tell you this. I have finally done it. I have found a place to hold an antiquarian book fair in Miami. It has taken me almost 15 years to do that. No exaggeration. I've been wanting to do it since this show started and well before. And March 7th, we're in our 11th year. So I'm really thrilled to say it. Let me tell you how it happened. When I say that Rod Serling scripts my life sometimes in the Twilight Zone, um, a story like this kind of tells you it's true. The hardest part about finding a place was hotel space is usually where you find this kind, you need the ballroom. But in order to get the ballroom with sections of it, like take any hotel in the I-95 corridor, I don't care if it's Hilton, Best Western, Holiday Inn, whatever. If they have a convention service and they have, a couple of thousand square foot room somewhere that you can hold a book fair, a pen show, a convention, whatever it might be, that comes with a built-in set of problems. And that is, besides an exorbitant fee for the room rental itself, they want you to guarantee 50, 100 hotel room nights for the weekend. So, you're guaranteeing that you're going to rent, because of your book fare, because we're letting you have the ballroom and we're charging you a rate for it, you still got to provide us with, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of at least 100 room nights, as they say in the trade. That was tough to impossible, so we never committed. The other thing, I can't believe it, having spent many years in the hotel business, but everybody's charging for parking now, and it became a major issue. The one place that I did find a couple of years ago came with a bad reputation because the pen show, the fountain pen show that's held in Miami every year was supposed to be there. And at the last minute, they pulled a hissy fit on the promoter of the pen show, and he had to move from Miami to Kendall, which is not fun. So we found this place. How did I find it? Let me tell you what it is first. It's 3,000 square feet of open space. We are going to call it in the beginning a small local show. I already have about 7 dealers that want to exhibit. We are going to try and cap it because of the space and the floor plan at about 15 dealers. Because I don't have to guarantee anything other than, we're going to do the fair, it becomes a whole different ballgame. By example, how did I find this location when I tell you it was the fickle finger of fate? I'm not fibbing. Um, it's my next door neighbor. He's a professional photographer. His studio is the kind of place that out of town, well-known photographers come in and rent when they're in town to do shoots. It's all open. As I said, he's got modular walls if he wants to, play with the interior design, but it's all open space, and that makes it unique. There's a loading door, adequate double truck size door. It's in a decent neighborhood. We're going to be in the heart of the art district and not far from the Brickell art, not the Brickell business district. There's a lot of new money in town. Um, we're going to have, and here's a trick for you, we're going to have the mayor declare Rare Book Appreciation Week. So if you are already doing fairs or you're thinking about doing one of the best things that you can do to garnish local publicity, get the mayor's office to issue a proclamation declaring it Rare Book Appreciation Week. We've got about 12 of those, I think. One day maybe they'll actually become collectible. Um, and you go from there. Well, we plan 2 days, and let me tell you what the dates are. It is the weekend before Halloween, so it'd be Saturday the 24th and Sunday the 25th of October. We're going to have set up on Friday. We're not sure if we're going to do an exhibitor preview thing or not. Like I said, we just want to break even on this. I have a theory about this show, and it's similar to the theory that I have about larger shows. And let me tell you what the larger show theory is. When we do the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair in March, there will be anywhere from 80 to 100 dealers or more there. Let's use the figure 100 just because it's easier to do math in your head with a round number. Um, Out of the 100 dealers, X number are going to have the best show they ever had. They're going to do extremely well. Then you're going to have another slice of the pie. They did really good. Okay. Then you're going to have another slice of the pie. We made expenses plus, and then you got another slice of the pie. We didn't make it. That is so typical for any book fair. When you think about what I say it's a theory, but it's based on a couple of things. If you add up the amount of hours that the book fair is open, the number of people that come in, and what all of them have spent in total during those times, that's the basis for the formula. It's how much money was spent on the floor at the book fair, and it will never be distributed evenly. Okay. The thing about the fair that we're doing, I think, is that if we get the attendance that I feel we've gotten from past fairs, and there's only 15 dealers to share the pot with, I think everybody's going to do well unless you bring books that nobody wants. And that's the other thing. If you're new and you're asking yourself this question, what do I bring to a book fair? There's a lot of ways to try and make educated guesses out of that. Obviously, what region of the country are you in, and bring material for that region. Talk to other dealers, talk to the promoters, see what's going on in the area. Do you have any ephemeral items or important books written about or by somebody from that geographical area? Those are some of the thoughts, that go into the process of what we bring to a book fair. But when it comes down to it, it's like they say in the pool hall, shoot and holler, mierda. You can never figure it out. We bring about 1,500 books to the book fair. We may not bring that many this year, but we're sure going to have a lot of ephemera. Um, if I knew, I'm making up a number, but usually you do 50, 60 transactions. If I knew which, 75 to 100 books I would sell, and I only brought those, they'd call me psychic, but that's almost impossible to predict. So we're gonna start talking about what is it that you need to do when you're setting up a book fair, and we're gonna look at it from my eyes as a promoter, from my other set of eyes as an exhibitor, and from a third set of eyes, the patron. We have done the first thing that you have to do. We secured the location. We've established the date. Um, we know that we're going to have three tables in a U-shaped booth. We've got to figure out once we do the drawing of the room whether they're going to be 6 foot or 8 foot tables or combinations thereof. We know that we need security. Now, security of book fair is very important. The Florida Antiquarian Book Fair and other book fairs have a great system, and I'll tell you what it is. You, as the exhibitor, when you check in, you're given your exhibitor package. In the exhibitor package, there's a sheet of mailing labels that look like something you would get from a charity that says the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair instead of your address. You're also given specific bags that were, usually given to the book fair by some company whose logo is on those bags. We're working on that too. Um, and you write up a receipt for the book. You put the receipt and the book in the bag, and you take the label and you seal the handles of the bag. When the person is done shopping at the show, they will go through an exit that is the security exit. At that exit, they show the bag. The security person opens it, matches the receipt in the book, and sends that happy book buyer on their way. There's a lot of other things we're going to come up with to talk about, but we'll talk about those after these commercial words. Welcome back, my fellow rare bookians. We are talking about book fairs. So let me tell you the dates. March 7th and 8th, we will be in St. Petersburg at the Coliseum with about 100 and some odd other antiquarian book dealers from around the country and the world who will be exhibiting fine, rare, and common out-of-print books, ephemera, you name it. Meredith Myers will be there. If you are a fashionista lady and love book clothing, book objects that you can carry, like pocketbooks and things like that. Meredith has the most amazing creations. And if you scuba dive, she also scuba dives. And I'm not, she's amazing. It's amazing what she does underwater. I live vicariously through her exploits in the water, not having had twin 72s on my back in decades. But book fairs. Okay, so the one in Florida is the 7th and 8th of March, and we have organized finally, I call it my swan song. I have always wanted to do, organize one more antiquarian book fair. Hopefully it will grow after this year into something bigger, but what we have done is we have picked October 24th and 25th this year, the weekend before Halloween. See, you got to think when you do a book fair, you don't want to butt heads with, the behind the scenes thinking. You don't want to butt heads with another book fair. Is there another book fair within a couple of 100 miles of you? Then you definitely should not do it. The only competition we have that day, and I thank David Wolf for his letting me know about that, is in Gainesville, which is not affecting us at all. It's a huge FOL, Friends of Library sale. That's one of those 30, 40, 50,000 book sales that people come in from all around to shop. But we are calling this more a local show. I'm sure, I know I spoke with Mike Slicker. For those of you who don't know Mike Slicker is the Don of book fairs in Florida. He organized the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair. He and a group of others organized the Florida Antiquarian Book Dealers Association some 40 years ago. And he will be there. David Wolf has said he is interested from Boca, Thorne Donnelly, David Gindi, myself. Um, One or two other dealers who I know will do it, but haven't gotten the word to them yet. We're capping it at 15. All right, so what does it take to put on a book fair? As the promoter, what are my responsibilities? Well, the most important responsibility of a book fair promoter is promoting the fair, local advertising, international advertising if it's, that kind of book fair. But we are doing a local, so I'm not worried about international advertising. I have in the past, to give you an idea of something, when I did for 9 years a book fair that we affectionately called Books on the Beach. We did that for 9 years at a Holiday Inn, when the room rental was like, $750 a day and you didn't have to guarantee anything. But um, what are you doing? You're promoting the fair. We generated two 8-foot tables. If you laid out all the articles that were generated about that book fair and you put up two easels, that's how much press, local press picked us up. I anticipate a very similar reaction this year. We're going to ask the mayor to declare it Rare Book Week. So wherever I go, I'm going to be talking about the book fair, handing out flyers, doing TV and radio and all of that stuff. That's my job as the promoter. I don't see any problem in getting 15 dealers together. So now what do you have to do as far as setting the room up for a book fair? Okay. First thing you need is some kind of signage so people know who's in what booth. Next thing you need is, and in our case, it's not going to be much. It's going to be a half-size sheet of paper with the names and all the information about the exhibitors. And then what? Okay, you need to give people a booth. So what goes into a booth? Well, when you do the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair, your booth includes as many tables as you need, depending on the size of your booth. There is extra charges for extra tables. The booths are piped and draped. So that means when you walk into somebody's booth, you're not looking at anybody else's booth. Pipe and drape is expensive. We are not doing pipe and drape. So that makes it much easier. Initially, we're trying to do this on the cheap. I no, I don't mean cheap in a negative way. We just want to break even. We're not even looking to make money on the fair per se, although that sounds kind of defeatist in business. As long as we cover our expenses, everybody's going to be happy. And as I said before, I really believe that this show should have a tremendous attendance of qualified buyers. I think everyone will do well. Okay, so now you need to put stuff in the booth. What do you as the promoter of the show provide? We're going to provide three tables and two chairs. We will provide table covers because I was thinking about it. It's not that expensive. Table covers for 15 booths, that's 45 tables, $225 or less for table covers. That way the room looks uniform. If anybody wants to bring in their own table covers, that's up to them. But we need table covers, chairs, and tables. And as far as it goes, that's what we're doing. We are doing a bare bone show. Um, we hopefully will get, if we don't get it from a supplier, I would like to find a Publix or somebody that would give us bags. We'll have the security labels printed up. Maybe somebody wants to advertise on them or something. That's not a bad idea, to print them out. And we will put it together. So when people come into the book fair, they will be in a nice air-conditioned room looking at interesting books and hopefully buying them. It's a lot of detail. It's a lot of small details to set up a book fair. But if you don't get overwhelmed with the small details, you can have a great book fair. And that's October 24th and 25th. I have announced it officially kind of as the soft opening. As I said, I've got about half a dozen dealers, including myself at this point in time. Finding another six in Florida is not going to be hard at all once we promote it. And we hope to see you there. If you are thinking about doing a book fair somewhere, or you've been doing a book fair, a regional, smaller one for whatever it is, and you have questions, we'd love to network with you. I've got to give a shout out to somebody because I am in this business as an observer amongst everything else. Yes, I'm a participant, but this radio program makes me an observer as well. So I want to give a shout out to Eve, Rachel Lemon, and her husband. We've had them on the show before. While oh gosh, I'm embarrassed. I don't remember his name. The virtual Marvin, while Marvin saved the book world with his virtual book fairs, and he did, Marvin Geitman. The book world owes its current existence to Marvin Geitman for having gotten us through COVID and still be able to exhibit at virtual book fairs. But the world is turning and we're heading back towards people want more of a hands-on participatory experience in those book fairs. So Eve is every time I see another promo by Eve, it's a new book fair. and she has done a very phenomenal job of it. Um, I like I've talked about the history of the estate sale business in Miami and how certain people who are the number ones now showed up at the right time when the old school number ones were leaving and the new school number ones are replacing them. Um, Eve has done that in the antiquarian book fair business. There used to be several people that would promote shows. Most of those shows, because of COVID and other things, fell by the wayside. And now Eve is in a combination of invention and resuscitation mode for bringing these book fairs back. I say kudos to you, Eve, and thank you for what you're doing. Believe me, doing a book fair is a tremendous responsibility as the promoter. Your reputation is on the line every time. And as we know, whenever you do a special event, I preface it with, unfortunately, you can't please everybody. So, there's nobody in the world that has a business that hasn't found some kind of detractor or something. So if you are interested in doing book fairs, let us know. If you're planning one, we'd love to know about it. Um, if you go to book fairs, we haven't done this in a while, and with the new year, I'd like to get back into it. I guess what did we call it? A roving reporter. We used to have people that would either exhibit or attend as a patron book fairs around the country. I know we did Rocky Mountain, we did Tennessee, we did Los Angeles, we did all kinds of other book fairs over the years where somebody was at the book fair, either as a patron or an exhibitor, and they would call us, the studio from the show, and we would pass the phone or their microphone, so the microphone, so to speak, around wherever they were in different booths and on the floor. I would love to reinstitute that. If there's anybody that is doing a fair or several fairs, or if you are listening and you know someone that's doing a fair or several fairs, we would love to have a little cadre of roving reporters that can help bring us that kind of information. We love spreading the word and helping people publicize their book events. That goes for book fairs or anything else. I'd have to say one of my most proud accomplishments of last year was Lowell Thing. When Lowell was on the show with his Margaret Armstrong book, sold 22 or 23 copies of the book during the time the show was on. So we know we have results. We know we have an audience. And I'll tell you something to my audience. You guys baffle me. Okay. When we look at the statistics, Australia has more listeners than anywhere else, even in country. 46% of our audience is overseas, and a large portion of that is in Australia, Germany, and Russia. I'm wondering if it's my Russian roots. I mean, I'm part Russian, French, Polish, and the Bronx, so who knows? Um, if you have questions, we have answers. If you have a telephone, that can connect us and you can ask your questions and we can give you the answers. 888-575-4394. That's 888-575-4394 for on-air live Saturday 10 to 12 questions. Got off-air questions? 305-868-5515, 305-868-5515. And we don't have a dinosaur, but that is a landline. So, if you're calling, no text on that. We'll be back after these commercial words, and I'm pretty sure at 11 o'clock, since nobody has called in and all that, we're going to kind of run tape. I've got a lot of tax work to do. It was a very good year. Ciao.
Shelves.
Now, here's Steve the Bookman Eisenstein.
Welcome back, book lovers. If you have questions, we have a phone number for you to call right now, 888-575-4394. That's 888-575-4394. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions for us while we are off air during the week, you can reach us at 305-868-5515. That's a landline. I don't give out my cell phone number usually on the show, but if you call me and we need to text, yes, we have that capability. I got a quick trivia contest question, okay? The prize will be an interesting book on book collecting yet to be decided. We might even give you a choice of a couple if you can answer this trivia question. It was one of the most famous drum solo songs of the 70s, and it was called Wipeout. By what group? What was the name of the group that did the song Wipeout? Wipeout. I don't have the enthusiasm. Thusly, we are going to tape at 11 o'clock. I promise next week we've got a great guest, and I have built my guest calendar past there. If anybody is interested in guesting on the show, we are always looking for informative and kind of entertaining guests, and you don't have to be a seasoned veteran specialist or anything like that, because if you are new and you have questions, that's what the core of the show is, trying to help new people or advanced people with advanced questions, with the benefit of the knowledge that we've acquired in the last 59 years, and we like to share it with you. So if you have questions off air, 305-868-5515. And if you want to win a nice book on book collecting right now, who is the group that did the song? It was a musical called Wipeout. I'll try alien tape this afternoon. Yeah, I'll tell you something. Never use alien tape on books, but wow, is that stuff
No, that's
phenomenal?
supposed to say Allen's tape.
Oh, okay. We were just communicating. We are at. Oh, let me
But
say
I
something.
but I've used alien tape and I love it. I have rolls of it all over the place.
Yeah, and Gorilla Tape. Yeah, yeah, Gorilla. It's amazing stuff. Um, Speaking of amazing, okay, let me just say this. I am never drinking 2 cups of tea in the morning again because I think the sugar is driving my eyeballs crazy. Um, but I want to make a special announcement. Sometime in the next couple of weeks, we don't have it fine-tuned, but we know what we are going to do once we pick the date. Noel Hart, Andrea Boltres, and Alexander 23 are three very well-known book people from Australia, from Facebook, from Noel's book, from Andrea's work, from Alexander's works. We are all going to get together one night with Captain Hook, and we are going to not tape a show. We are going to do a live special one night of book selling down under, or whatever catchy title we can come up with for it. But what we will be doing is having a panel discussion of Australian book dealers, and very well known and likable ones at that. I am flattered that Noel mentioned me in his first book, but dedicated a chapter plus in his other second follow-up book. And it's official, okay? With the help of Jerry Gringus, after the March Book Fair, I'm going to try and write that memoir that everybody has told me I think I should write. My wife says I don't blow my own horn enough. My own friends who I know personally and have shared some of these adventures with have said, Steve, you're underestimating the excitement that you've led in your life. So I don't know, we're gonna try it. I had a novel in my heart, but it only went as far as the title, the first intergalactic book fair. I don't even know where to go with that. But on the other end of it, the memoir, based on what's been going on lately, a lot of nostalgia has been rolling across our dashboard, so to speak. And it's fun, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump, but I thought, well, our cats have been scrapping with each other today. I don't know why. Maybe somebody got more catnip than the other one. Uh, but anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That should be interesting. And if you're a writer, whether you've been published or not, I've had a lot of publication. I had a lot of articles published in newspapers, magazines, and all that. I want to share a tip for writers. The tip was given in his biography, and his being Steve Allen. Steve Allen, if you don't know who he is, check him out. If you know who he is, you may or may not know this. Steve Allen, at one point, was considered the most prolific. I think it was almost like a Guinness Book of Records. Nobody at that point in time, and I'm not sure it's still not current, wrote more songs, jingles, books, poems, scripts, whatever, than Steve Allen. And one of the things that I learned in reading his life story was this. When you are a creative writer and you are about to fall asleep and you're about to go into the REM type sleep, ideas will come in your head as you're, dozing off. Some of those ideas will be phenomenal sound bites, proper construction, or even improper construction of words and phrases to illustrate a point. Will you remember them in the morning? And chances are, no, you won't.
Steve, we
S-
got a caller on the line.
Okay, caller on the line.
Do you take calls from New England?
Oh no, man. Nah, we're violating your passport, sir. I'm sorry. I've heard about you other radio guys, man. Nothing but stirrups. Hey, Wayne, how are you? It's always a pleasure, buddy. Go ahead, let's make it official so we don't violate any constitutional rules and regulations of contests. Who
Okay, I'm
sang it?
quite sure because I think I have the record
I
here in my library.
I'm almost sure you
Safari,
Googled it.
1963.
The Safaris, it is. Wipeout. I love that
Yeah,
song.
and
I was
on the
actually
other side of that, the flip side, if I remember right, it's another famous song, almost like the Beach Boys, Surfer Joe, is on that
rings a
side of it.
bell. Yeah, rings a bell. Yes, yes, but it wasn't as
They
popular,
were
but
always confused with the Beach Boys.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jan and Dean, the Beach Boys, all of those. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was a
those are my glorious day when I had my rock group.
well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I played the trumpet and gave that up for drums and Wipeout. I mean, that was the solo. That was a lot of fun. I don't think I could do it
Well,
today, but
back in the early 60s with the British invasion, me and three other gentlemen from Mapleville in Rhode Island, we started what they called a garage band and
you
drove
had a
around
crazy
crazy
name
records
for it.
in the house.
What?
Reign of Terror was the name of our group.
Reign of Terror. Yeah. Yeah. So,
R period, O period, T period.
when you interviewed Mike Reeder, and I know you interviewed Alan also, but I want to talk about Mike Reeder. What did you think about what he's been doing?
He is on fire. And I can, even talking to him on the phone, I can sense his mind is in overdrive.
Yeah.
He's got so many fresh ideas, thinking outside the box.
And then bringing them back in to make it work. That's the art
That's
of
the
thinking.
impression I get over the air, just talking to him.
Yeah, yeah, I felt the same way. I
You
have
know what class I put him into, Steve? He's the guy I would love to have for a next door neighbor.
Yeah, yeah, I won't argue with that. I don't know if you heard it earlier. I mean, I say it. I don't say it in a braggadocious way. I just say it as an honest way. I'm not computer swift, but I am so impressed with Chat GPT. I'll give you an example of something. I don't know how I can ever have found it otherwise, and I tried. Like I put up something in 1892, mint condition, absolutely fine, from the Republican National Convention. Gorgeous printing example. And then another similar thing on India laid paper. And, you know, how do you find that on Adall or Via Libre or Rare Book Hub? Or, you can't. I mean, the 11th reunion for the Massachusetts volunteers in the Spanish-American War. You can't find that stuff by title. What I
I'm
did, I
finding
took,
myself using it more and more every day.
I'm never
I
gonna
don't want
not.
to, but it's so convenient.
No, it's not. Let me tell you something, Wayne. You get the same information. The only thing, like when I looked up that Republican thing and the India Laid and two or three other, very unique ephemeral items, the way they described it is the way I would have written the description. I mean, there was no inaccuracies in it. They went into the depth. They even analyzed and graded it. They said this is a mint museum quality specimen, which it is.
You
We showed another one, of something else that had some spotting, and they mentioned the spotting. Then you put in the word, I put in value. Then somebody taught me put in value and where the sources came from. So you get
Right.
the value, but then you want to find out that there are reliable is what you want, but what you're looking for is comparative prices. Like you're asking AI, where did you get your valuation from? And they will cite the actual examples. I had a battalion flag from Alphonse the 13th, Battalion number 24 in the Spanish-American War. They told me everything I needed to know about that flag, and they referred me to a sold price in 2021. I mean, just
Yeah, I
unbelievable.
found, I went to a class last year at UConn. There was 17 of us just on AI. We were invited up there to do an advanced summer course. And I finished top of the class, but I came out of it so scared at what the possibilities are on AI. I
Don't
really was shaking.
I'm
I
not
was shaking.
arguing. I'd agree with that too. The other side of this is scary as shit. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well,
That
the other two things that I think is
Wayne, let
going
me
to be
say
really
something.
good for us.
We're gonna have to hit a hard break in 40 seconds, and
Okay,
we're
I've got to go
going
too
to
because I have
tape.
an appointment. I got to go
No,
do
no,
it.
no, I'm with you. It's the 11 o'clock. It's straight up. You know that. So what were
Okay.
you gonna
Thank
say?
you very much for having a great show, and we'll catch up with you later.
I'll talk to you later, Wayne. Always a pleasure, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
we are going to go to tape at 11 o'clock. I appreciate Wayne's calling. I thought we would get a couple of more callers. I'm going to write a long story asking some questions in Facebook this week about call-ins and why or they do or don't happen, but we'll get to that another time. We'll see you all next week. We've got a great guest lined up, guaranteed. I'm not going to monologue again for a while, so I got a good calendar. Happy book sales and buys to you all. Ciao for now. Thanks, Captain Hook.